الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بشراكم وبشرانا والعز يأتي من أشلاء شهدانا.
Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV. We are in the beautiful South Lebanon, driving on the way to Khiam, a village right on the border between Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria. And we'd like to just say a happy Easter to all our viewers, especially Christian Palestinians, Christian Lebanese, and Christian Syrians. Behind us here is al-Khardali Valley, and from there you could see all the way to Mount Hermon in the Golan Heights, Jabal al-Sheikh. Beautiful Easter Sunday, a beautiful spring day. Christ of Palestine has arisen. Christ of Jabal Amil has arisen. Christ, the prophet of the Canaanites, has arisen. Happy Easter to all of you. Go to our website, freepalestine.video, donate for us to continue producing this content from the field in Lebanon and in Palestine, and share all this content on whatever social media platform you're watching it. We were on our way to al-Khiam, the village right on the border with Palestine, occupied Palestine, to be witnesses to a funeral for multiple martyrs. And as we are driving through al-Doueir village, there was an attack on a car, a civilian car, with at least 2 missiles. We saw the fact that in the beginning there was a first missile that hit the car right there, and it continued going down the road when it was hit again and was exploded into pieces. You can see parts of the car all around the road. The emergency crews are still cleaning up. They removed the car itself, and there was a martyr who was the driver of the car, and his body was removed already by the paramedics.
اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات
إنك ولي الأعمال الصالحة إنك مبدل السيئات بالحسنات إنك على كل شيء قدير.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بشراكم وبشرانا والعز يأتي من أشلاء شهدانا. ولنا نصر الله في الميدان جاء، في الميدان جاء، على طريق القدس، على طريق القدس قدمنا الشهداء قدمنا الشهداء.
We are in al-Khiam village, right on the border with occupied Palestine. There was a funeral for two Hezbollah members that belong to the communications branch of Hezbollah that were assassinated in al-Ghazi 2 days ago. Thousands of people, residents of al-Khiam and the south of Lebanon, traveled to al-Khiam village to bury these two martyrs and say farewell to them. As you can see from the graveyard behind me and all around me, there's been extensive damage to the graves because of Zionist attacks on the graveyard. And there's a lot of new burial sites for the martyrs that died during this war, the al-Aqsa flood war. Al-Khiam has been hit severely by the Zionists throughout the war and through the quote-unquote ceasefire. It's one of the villages that gave one of the highest numbers of martyrs and suffered some of the highest percentage of damage in all of South Lebanon. Whoa. There's air raids happening right now across the valley. That's on the side of Marja'yun, right? The people are chanting, "Labbaika ya Hussein." We heed your call, O Hussein. We heed your call, O Nasrullah. This was a fighter jet, probably an F-15, that fired these missiles. Huge explosions on the side of Marja'yun, the other side of this valley where al-Khiam is located. This is a memorial for the baker in the town of Khiam, Rabih. He was martyred when there was an attack on the bakery in the town. Earlier in the year during the war, in the midst of the war, we arrived here in Khiam and had the honor to actually eat from the food that he prepared. Rida is one of many of the civilians that were targeted by the Zionists because they dared to stay in their homes during the war. We can hear an Israeli fighter jet, probably an F-15. Most probably they're going to fire some missiles somewhere in the south. While we were at the funeral, you saw the air raids that happened on the Arnoun region. We know now that there is at least one martyr there and one injured. There was also a Lebanese military vehicle was exploded, and that led to the martyrdom of the officer in the vehicle and 3 soldiers with him, and the martyrdom of a woman and her child. They were in a car that was passing right beside this. And finally, there was another attack on Iqlim al-Tuffah, which means the apple region. It is a hill mountain region north of the Litani River. There was 2 missiles fired there. We have no update yet on if there's any casualties and or martyrs. We did our tour. We visited the funeral for the 2 Hezbollah martyrs in al-Khiam that were martyred in al-Ghazi 2 days ago. And it just happened that we witnessed multiple attacks by the Zionists. While we were driving, there was outside your hometown, there was an attack on a car. Yes. And then as we were at the funeral, there was those attacks both on the al-Khiam al-Tufah behind us and in the south regions around Yarun. Is that correct? Was it Yarun?
Arnoun.
Arnoun, yes.
Yarun is to the central sector near the borders. Now, Arnoun is a border town. It's like 5 kilometers away from the border, but it's the village that hosts the Beaufort Castle that we visited many times before.
Yes, and although
and it's near Yuhmur,
I have learned so much about the south and the villages in the south. Of course, it's been a crash course for a year and a half now, and I still have.
I think it's more than a crash course.
Yes.
I think you became an expert in.
But I still sometimes mix up a few villages, so it's great to have a local like you with me to correct it sometimes. So these attacks have been going on every day. Every day that we are coming down south, we're seeing them.
Yes.
And all we hear from the new Prime Minister, Salam, is condemnations and talk about...
In the best case.
In the best case scenario.
Sometimes he doesn't give any reactions. No likes and no dislikes.
No dislikes. But when he does open his mouth, it's just, basic condemnation, while he's spending most of his time talking about spreading the power of the state over the whole territory. And so it seems like he's unable to protect the Lebanese people, protect Lebanese territory from the external enemies, but he believes somehow that he has the power to crush the resistance and disarm them. I mean, I think I'm not a Lebanese person, but I think most Lebanese people see these contradiction statements and positions as a indication of futility and uselessness of this Prime Minister.
Now, let me be honest. He sacrificed his position as the head of the International Criminal Court, right? Or ICJ,
Court of Justice.
ICJ, the Court of Justice. So, you don't sacrifice such a position, a very prestigious position for a judge, to come and to become a prime minister for nothing. They said, they gave him promises. They told him that now the resistance is crushed and you will go there and you will basically benefit from what happened to become the hero who transformed Lebanon to the new era with no militias and 100% democracy, the new Lebanon, all of these things we are hearing about, and we are seeing the millions of dollars advertisement on the roads. Who's paying for this? I don't know. I don't know if the Lebanese presidency or the Prime Minister's office is paying for these advertisements.
He's definitely praying for them.
It's
like he's praying that it's the Saudis and the Israelis and the Americans pay for it.
But who's paying for these campaigns? It's the ones who are behind the American. The new American current in Lebanon, let's say, or the American agenda that now thinks that, okay, this is a new Lebanon. I called it in my last article published in Splinter, de-Hezbollahization of Lebanon. They want the Hezbollah to become the new black sheep, the new outcast, the Taliban of Lebanon, and without comparisons, but yes, they want Hezbollah to become the new Taliban. Okay, now Taliban had Tora Bora mountains to seek shelter in, and they want Hezbollah to seek shelter in these mountains behind us, and they keep now maybe when we are filming, they will they will strike the mountain, because they struck it like less than 1 hour ago with 2 massive airstrikes, at least 2 in the area. It's the top area between this mountain that hosts the Mlita site, and this valley that is related to Jizin in the other side of it. So this is what they want. Hezbollah to become a new Taliban in Lebanon, and although they have the Afghani experience in front of them.
Yeah, with America in the end losing the war, definitely.
It was the most humiliating. Maybe they should have
exit of any colonizer from
you know, the collaborators were some of them fell from the aircrafts. It was a disaster in terms of the picture and in terms of the outcomes of 20 years of colonization, occupation, fighting. Trillions of dollars were spent, and now Taliban owns the country and governs the country. So the fact is that in Hezbollah's case in Lebanon, it's totally different. Hezbollah, as we will always come back to the latest poll that
Al-Nahar newspaper.
Because it's the latest one. Hezbollah is looked at a resistance in Lebanon, and the Israelis are still there striking us each day. Their strikes, they think that they will pressure the people and Hezbollah to surrender.
So can we think about these strikes? You know, some of these commentators online are trying to say that these strikes on Hezbollah and the intensification of them, the strikes on Lebanon in general, because most of these strikes are not even touching Hezbollah, they're just harming civilians.
That's correct.
These strikes on Lebanon by Israel are all part of the pressure tactics as the United States negotiates with Iran on the nuclear issue. I mean, I personally think that it's an exaggeration. Hezbollah will not.
This is you know, these claims come in also in a 20 years context. These guys were saying that since year 2006, after the war, after Hezbollah's victory in 2006 war against Israel, they started this propaganda. And one important thing they were always saying, that Hezbollah is a proxy for Iran, and they always like to link between anything. If, let's say, if a minister from Hezbollah came and visited his village, they will say that this is because of something happening in Iran. They are paid to do this. These guys receive payment for mentioning the term Hezbollah in their media appearances. I think they have
a quota of number of Hezbollah words.
Like, did you say enough Hezbollahs today or no? So, and they keep doing it. You should not be surprised, because this. How this will really affect negotiations between Iran and it can influence Hezbollah's negotiations with the Lebanese government. But Sheikh Naim Qasim last week clearly said no negotiations without Israelis aggressions stopping completely. They have to stop the aggressions. They have to go outside to withdraw from the 5 points at least that they are still occupying in South Lebanon. The rebuilding of South Lebanon should start again, and then we will start negotiating our status in regard of a defense strategy for Lebanon.
Yeah.
Not
so one last
dismantling
thing before we get going.
Yes.
You know, there's this funny moment with the collaborationist, traitorous Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian non-authority going down to Damascus yesterday and shaking hands with Abu Muhammad al-Julani, the other treacherous, traitorous collaborationist that's now occupying Damascus.
Now he hates jihadists when they are in Gaza fighting the Israelis, like Hamas and al-Jihad al-Islami and other factions. And he hates his own jihadists, كتائب شهداء الأقصى, who are Fatah,
Yeah.
but they don't want to surrender their weapon and they don't want to reckon to diplomacy. They want to keep fighting, and they are being killed by the Israelis daily and attacked. But he likes jihadists, quote unquote, and Islamists when they are
Pro-Zionist.
ISIS and Nusra.
Yeah.
And
American collaboration.
American collaborators in Syria. Yeah.
And one last story about al-Julani. There's supposed to be the Arab summit of the Arab League happening in Baghdad
Yes.
Next week. And Abu Muhammad al-Julani is supposed to go to represent Syria to sit there. There was a lot of fuss in the Iraqi circles and in the Iraqi media because Abu Muhammad al-Julani was al-Baghdadi's second in command of ISIS during the slaughter in Iraq, and he's responsible.
Cosmopolitan terrorist.
Yes, yes.
He was in ISIS, and he was in Iraq, and then he went to Syria and started his own business.
Yeah, first he was al-Qaeda, and then
Qaeda, ISIS, Nusra. Qaeda, ISIS,
Tahrir al-Sham.
And now Tahrir al-Sham.
So he's definitely
Julani rebranding.
He's definitely the epic example of chameleon contrast that the United States likes to birth everywhere, countries that don't bend the knees to it.
Yeah.
So right now we just heard this funny news that actually the Iraqi parliament had put a motion and on a court case to arrest Abu Muhammad al-Julani, or Julani as a lot of people like to call him here, when he steps foot in Iraq. What's your thought about that?
They should do it. He has Iraqi blood on his hands, and on all the team that he used to be with, the terrorists who used to consider killing Muslims and killing Christians and killing Yazidis and anyone. Killing their own people is a must, and fighting for the liberation in Iraq, because it was under American occupation and Western occupation. In Syria, that is still under American occupation, Israeli occupation, Turkish occupation. In Lebanon, in Palestine, it's forbidden. But it is halal or a must, a duty, a sacred duty for them to fight their own people. They even here in Lebanon, because the Lebanese president went and also shook hands with Julani.
Yeah, Prime Minister, not President, Prime Minister.
Also
the president went? No, just Salam.
I think the president met him.
Yes.
He met him.
Yes, not in
not in Syria. Yeah, but he met him.
Yeah.
So they both shook hands with him, and like, okay, it's a kind of normalization with him. But our problem with al-Julani is not only related to the fights. So they can claim like, okay, it was a war and now it ended. So after war ends, people normalize. They attacked. If you remember, I don't know if you were here during the explosions in Dahi. Were you here in Lebanon?
No.
It was like
in 2018.
2013, 14,
Yes.
15, and it stopped after the 2015 because Hezbollah was able to send a commandos unit to kill and destroy the factory of the booby-trapped cars that were being sent to Lebanon. It was in Qalamun, Syria.
Yes.
And this is why they went to Qalamun, Hezbollah, because they wanted to dismantle the units and the factories that were making explosive cars and sending them to Dahi. And many explosions happened in Dahi, killing innocent people in the markets, in the mosques, in the Husayniyya for the Shias, and even in areas like Tariq al-Jadid. They had some of the terrorists were also in Hamra. Yeah. I forgot the hotel's name. The one explosion happened in Hamra near the Saudi embassy.
Yes.
And it was rumored that the guy who was there was in relation with the Saudis, so he was staying next to them, not like he wanted to attack the Saudis.
Yes.
By the way, this is an Iranian. Let's say a joke. This is an Iranian malt drink. that is famous here.
Yes.
Delster. So
The Leicester, yeah.
they say
It's non-alcohol
Yeah.
beer or
yeah,
malt
it's a
beer.
malt. So people here have a joke that if the Iranian beer is still coming to Lebanon, this means that other Iranian goods are coming to Lebanon.
Yes, because it's not licensed to arrive. Well,
Yeah.
you know, obviously, in my opinion, Abu Muhammad is Julani. The Iraqis should have waited for him to land in Baghdad and then arrest him, nab him, and maybe even lynch him in the streets.
I think like a fair court, court will be enough.
Yeah.
To condemn him and to show the world that this is a terrorist, and if he wore a suit and
He's still a terrorist.
became, according to the West, the new president of Syria, he will become a terrorist. And like one of the refugees, the Syrian refugees who ran from Syria after the massacres in the coast, told us once, it was a joke, but it was out of his pain. He lost more than 30 of his family. More than 30
that was in Mas'udiyah.
Yes, he told us that when you bring a donkey to the presidential palace, you don't make him a president. You make the presidential palace zribi, a stable. Yeah. So this is what happened. A barn.
Yes. Yeah. The donkey doesn't turn to a president when you bring him to the presidential palace. The presidential palace turns into.
This is what happened, basically.
Well, this is Laith Marouf with Hadi Hotait in South Lebanon. Please press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and visit our website, freepalestine.video. Donate, subscribe to our monthly donation so we can continue bringing you these reports from the field in Lebanon, in Palestine. And until we see you next time, we bid you all a free Palestine.